What if I told you that the very failures you are running away from are actually the secret keys to your success? Think about every legend you admire, from Edison to Michael Jordan, who only became great because they first tasted failure. So the question is not whether you will fail, the real question is, will you rise after you fall? Failure. Just the sound of this word makes many people nervous. For most of us, failure feels like the end. We try something, we dream about it, we put our energy into it, but when things collapse, we feel broken. Society often points fingers, friends sometimes laugh, and inside we hear that painful voice whispering, maybe I am not good enough. But the truth is something entirely different. Failure is not the end of the story. Failure is only a chapter, sometimes the most important chapter, in the book of success. Every single person who achieved greatness, every leader, every innovator, every hero you admire, each of them carried scars of failure before they reached the top. So, let us begin this journey together. Today, in this two-part series, we will explore how failures can transform into stepping stones towards success. And in this first part, we will go deep into the mindset, the psychology, and the real-life stories that prove why failure is not your enemy but your greatest teacher. 1. The illusion of success without struggle. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a mountain. At the top of that mountain, you see a bright golden crown that represents success. Most people think the path to that crown is a straight road, smooth, easy, and without obstacles. But when they start climbing, reality strikes. The path is rocky, slippery, and full of sharp turns. You stumble, you fall, you bleed, and sometimes you wonder if you can ever make it. This is why so many people quit halfway. They think falling down is proof that they are not capable. But in reality, those very falls are part of the preparation. You cannot build strength without resistance. You cannot develop courage without fear. And you cannot discover success without first facing failure. Think about a child learning to walk. A baby falls hundreds of times before taking those first steady steps. Yet no parent ever says, maybe walking is not for you. They encourage, they cheer, and the baby keeps trying until one day that success happens. So why, when we grow older, do we stop believing in the process? Why do we suddenly treat failure as a full stop instead of a comma in the story of life? 2. The stories of giants who once fell. Let's talk about people you know, and names that shine today but once lived in darkness. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Imagine failing once, twice, 10 times, most people would give up. But Edison famously said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. His failure was not a wall, it was a guide. J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, was rejected by 12 different publishers. She was a single mother living on welfare, struggling to survive. If she had stopped after her first rejection, the world would never have known Harry Potter. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was once cut from his high school team. Think about that. The man who became a legend was told he was not good enough. Instead of giving up, he trained harder, fueled by the sting of failure, until he became the face of basketball excellence. These are not random stories. They are proof that failure is part of the recipe of success. Remove failure from their lives, then you remove the foundation of their greatness. 3. Failure builds character. Why do we admire successful people? Not just because they achieved something, but because they endured struggles most people run away from. Failure builds character, and character builds destiny. When you fail, you experience pain. Pain humbles you. Pain teaches you empathy. Pain sharpens your focus. Without failure, success often becomes shallow, easily taken for granted. But when you rise from the ashes of defeat, success tastes sweeter, deeper, and far more powerful. Think of a sword. A sword is just metal until it is put into fire, hammered, and beaten into shape. The process is harsh, but without it, the sword remains weak. Similarly, failure is the fire that forges us into unbreakable warriors of life. 4. The mindset shift from victim to learner. Here is the key difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise. Mindset. When most people fail, they play the role of a victim. They ask, why me? Why does this always happen to me? But successful people replace the question with, what can I learn? How can I grow from this? Failure is not a verdict. It is feedback. It is life's way of saying you are on the right track, but you need to adjust. The moment you stop fearing failure and start learning from it, your life transforms. 5 practical steps to transform failure. Now, let's move from philosophy to practice. How exactly do you turn failures into success? Here are some steps. Accept the failure, do not deny it. Do not hide it. The sooner you face it, the sooner you can learn. Analyze the mistake. Ask yourself, what went wrong? Was it the strategy, the timing, or the execution? Extract the lesson. Every failure carries a hidden gift. Maybe you discovered a weakness, maybe you realized what not to do. Write it down. Adjust and try again. Success is not about avoiding failure but about making better attempts each time. Build resilience. Train your mind to bounce back. Remember, champions are not people who never fall, but those who refuse to stay down. 6. The emotional battle. Let's be honest. Failure hurts. It breaks confidence, it shakes identity, and it sometimes makes you want to disappear. But here is the truth, emotions are temporary, but lessons are permanent. The pain you feel today is the seed of strength you will use tomorrow. Do not let temporary emotions destroy permanent dreams. Cry if you must, rest if you must, but do not quit. Because somewhere in your struggle lies the breakthrough that will define your destiny. 7. A personal reflection. Now, let me share a short reflection. Think about the last time you failed. Maybe it was an exam. Maybe it was a business idea. Maybe it was a relationship. At that moment, you probably thought it was the worst thing in the world. But look at yourself today. You survived. You grew. In fact, some of your greatest strengths may have come from that failure. This is the cycle of life. Failure today, lesson tomorrow, success the day after. The problem is that most people quit during today and never reach the day after. 8. Seeds of greatness. Here is something to remember. Inside every failure is a seed. And just like a seed must be buried in darkness before it grows into a tree, your dreams too must pass through the soil of failure before they bloom into success. When life buries you, it is not punishment. It is planting. You are being prepared to rise stronger and taller than before. Conclusion of part 1. So here we stand at the end of part 1. We have explored the truth about failure, the stories of legends, the mindset shift, the practical steps, and the deeper meaning behind setbacks. If there is one message you carry from today, let it be this: failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of success. In the next part, we will go even deeper. We will uncover the strategies that turn repeated failures into unstoppable momentum. We will talk about resilience, discipline, and the power of persistence. And most importantly, we will learn how to transform every failure into a weapon that makes success inevitable. If you are finding value in this journey, make sure to subscribe to our channel, because the next part will take you from understanding failure to mastering it. Together, let us turn setbacks into stepping stones and failures into victories. In part 1, we explored the truth about failure. We saw how legends like Edison, J.K. Rowling, and Michael Jordan turned rejection and defeat into fuel for greatness. We learned that failure is not the opposite of success, but the pathway to it. Now, in this second part, we will move even deeper. We will explore the real strategies that transform failure into lasting achievement. This is not just about feeling motivated for a moment. This is about building resilience, persistence, and systems that guarantee growth no matter how many times life knocks you down. So, let's begin. 1. Resilience, the superpower of success. Resilience is the ability to bounce back stronger after a fall. Imagine a ball. When you drop a stone on the ground, it stays where it lands. But when you drop a ball, it bounces back. Successful people are like that ball. They face setbacks, sometimes even harder than yours, but they rise again, refusing to stay down. Resilience is not natural, it is built. Every time you rise after a failure, your resilience muscle grows. Think of it as mental training. Just like your body gets stronger in the gym, your mind becomes unbreakable every time you fight back. Ask yourself today, am I acting like a stone or a ball? Do I stay down after defeat, or do I bounce higher? 2. The 3 types of failures. Not all failures are the same. Understanding this helps you use them wisely. Failure of preparation. This happens when you did not plan enough. Maybe you rushed into something without learning or researching. Failure of execution. Here, you had the right idea but failed to carry it out properly. Failure of innovation. This is the most beautiful one. You tried something new that no one else dared to, and it did not work the first time. The first 2 failures demand better planning and discipline. The third demands persistence. History proves that innovation often comes wrapped in failure. 3. Why most people quit too early. Do you know why so many dreams die? It is not because the dream was impossible. It is because the dreamer gave up too soon. Success often hides just beyond the point where most people quit. There is a story of a miner who kept digging for years but stopped only 3 feet away from gold. He quit too early, then someone else found the treasure. Life works the same way. The moment you feel like giving up is often the moment you are closest to your breakthrough. So, the next time you fail, remind yourself that I am 3 feet from gold. I will keep going. 4. Discipline over motivation. Here is a hard truth. Motivation is not enough. Motivation is like fire, it burns bright but fades quickly. What you need is discipline. Discipline means doing the work even when you do not feel like it. Failure often comes when we depend only on motivation. But discipline builds habits, and habits create success. For example, if you are learning a skill and you practice only when you feel motivated, you will fail. But if you create a habit of daily practice, even small steps, you will succeed over time. Discipline transforms failure into progress because each discipline step teaches you more than 1,000 motivational talks. 5. The power of reflection. When you fail, most people try to run away from the memory. They distract themselves, pretend it never happened, or blame others. But champions do something different. They reflect. Reflection means sitting quietly with your failure and asking deep questions. What exactly went wrong? What can I do differently? What hidden lesson is life trying to teach me? This process turns failure into wisdom. Without reflection, failure is just pain. With reflection, failure becomes knowledge. And knowledge is power. 6. The role of persistence. Persistence is the art of refusing to give up. It is what turns ordinary people into legends. Consider Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC. At the age of 65, after losing his job and living off a small pension, he decided to sell his chicken recipe. Do you know how many times he was rejected? Over 1,000 times. But he persisted. Today, KFC is a global brand. What if he had quit after the first 100 rejections? Or the first 500? Or the first 900? We would not even know his name today. Your dreams require the same persistence. The world might say no 1,000 times, but your yes must be louder than every no combined. 7. Turning failure into a strategy. Here's a secret: the most successful people use failure as a strategy. They deliberately take risks, knowing failure might come, because they understand each failure makes their next attempt stronger. Think about scientists. When they experiment, most of their tests fail. But each failed experiment is valuable because it narrows down the path to discovery. If they feared failure, no invention would ever exist. So instead of hiding from failure, embrace it as part of your strategy. Tell yourself, every failure gets me closer to success. 8. Surround yourself with the right people. Failure becomes heavier when you carry it alone. Negative people will laugh at your fall. But the right people, mentors, friends, supporters, will remind you to rise again. If you surround yourself with quitters, you will quit. If you surround yourself with fighters, you will fight. Success is contagious, but so is failure. Choose your company wisely. 9. Building the failure success cycle. Here's a practical model you can follow: try, fail, learn, improve, try again, succeed. This cycle repeats until success becomes inevitable. The only way you truly fail is if you stop the cycle. Remember this formula, and you will never be afraid of failure again. 10. The long-term vision. Failures feel heavy because we often focus only on the short term. We want instant results, and when they don't come, we feel defeated. But success is a marathon, not a sprint. Look at nature. A bamboo tree takes 5 years to grow its roots underground before it even shows above the soil. But once it does, it grows over 90 feet in just a few weeks. Your failures today may be the hidden root work for a massive breakthrough tomorrow. Do not judge your journey by today's results. Keep your vision long-term. 11. The courage to begin again. One of the greatest powers you can develop is the courage to start over. Many people fail once and never try again. They carry fear and shame and doubt. But those who succeed treat each new attempt as a fresh start. Remember, your past failure does not define your future potential. You can always begin again, stronger and wiser. 12. The gift of perspective. Sometimes what looks like failure is actually protection. Maybe the job you lost was not meant for you. Maybe the relationship that broke was saving you from future pain. Maybe the business idea that collapsed was redirecting you to a greater opportunity. Failure often reveals itself as a blessing when you look back. The key is to trust the process while you are in the storm. 13. Building a legacy out of failure. Finally, understand this: your failures are not just about you. They are about the people you will inspire. One day, when you succeed, your story of falling and rising will become the light for someone else walking through darkness. Every scar you carry can become someone else's survival guide. That is why you must not quit. Because your story matters. Conclusion of part 2. So here we are, at the end of our journey. We have traveled from the pain of failure to the wisdom of persistence, from the fear of rejection to the power of resilience. Remember this: failure is not the end, it is the beginning. It is the soil in which the seeds of greatness grow. If you accept it, reflect on it, and persist through it, nothing can stop you. The people who change the world are not those who never fall, but those who fall 10 times and rise 11. So the next time you fail, smile. Because life is giving you a gift. Life is shaping you into the person you need to be for the success you are destined for. If this message inspired you, do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Together, let us build a community where failure is no longer feared but celebrated as the road to success.